The fastest I ever ran was across 300 yards of no man's land with a German machine gun tracking me the whole way. I made it in 42 seconds. I know because I counted every single one. They picked me for runner duty because I was small and quick. 5'6", 130 pounds soaking wet. Back in Ohio, I ran track at Central High School in Cleveland. Set a county record in the 440. Coach Harrison said I had a future in it, maybe even college. That was 1916. Seems like a lifetime ago now. Seems like a different person entirely. My name is Samuel Cooper, and I was a trench runner with the American Expeditionary Force's 1st Division. They called us runners, or sometimes dispatch carriers. Our job was simple. Carry messages, orders, and intelligence between command posts, between trenches, across sectors. When the telephone lines got cut by artillery, which was constantly, we were the only communication they had. They told us it was important work, vital to the war effort. What they didn't tell us was the life expectancy. Most runners lasted about 3 weeks. The good ones, the lucky ones, might make it 2 months. I lasted 11 months. I enlisted in April 1917, right after Congress declared war. Figured it was my duty, you know. All the posters, all the speeches about making the world safe for democracy, about teaching the Kaiser a lesson. My kid brother Tommy wanted to enlist too, but Ma wouldn't sign for him. He was only 16. He cried when I left. I told him I'd be home by Christmas. Bring him a German helmet as a souvenir. I was wrong about that too. They shipped us to France in June. By July, I was in the trenches near Soissons, learning what the job really meant. My first run was easy, almost got me killed because of it. Sergeant Miller handed me a dispatch pouch and pointed down the trench. Take this to Captain Whitmore, B Company, 2nd support line. Stay in the trenches, keep your head down, move fast. Just trenches, maybe 400 yards through the communication trench. I thought I could jog it. I was cocky. Still thought my high school track record meant something. The communication trenches zigzag to prevent enfilade fire. That's when bullets can sweep down a straight line. They were narrow, muddy, sometimes waist deep in water. You had to squeeze past men going the other way, past supply carriers, past stretcher bearers with their cargo. I made that first run in maybe 8 minutes. Handed off the dispatch, felt pretty good about myself. Then Miller sent me across open ground. Jerry hit the communication trench with artillery. It's collapsed in 3 places, impassable. You'll have to go overland. Wait until dark, stay low, move fast. Overland, across no man's land. 600 yards of shell-torn earth, barbed wire, and German machine guns. I waited until full dark. No moon that night, thank God. I climbed out of the trench and started crawling. Not running, crawling. On my belly through the mud, dragging myself forward with my elbows, the dispatch pouch strapped tight to my chest. The smell hit me first. No man's land stank of death. Bodies that had been lying there for weeks, sometimes months, rotting in the sun, bloating, bursting, rats everywhere feeding. You'd put your hand down and feel something soft that used to be someone's face. I moved slow, painfully slow. Every few yards, I'd freeze when a flare went up, bright as daylight for 30 seconds. If you moved during a flare, they'd see you. If they saw you, you died. It took me 3 hours to cross those 600 yards. I made it to the forward post, delivered the message, and vomited behind a sandbag wall. Sergeant at the forward post, old-timer named Davies, he just laughed. Gets easier, kid. You stop smelling it after a while. He was right, sort of. You did stop smelling it. That was almost worse, knowing you'd gotten so used to death that it didn't bother you anymore. The runs got worse. They always got worse. During an offensive, during an attack, that's when they needed runners most. That's when the telephone lines were always cut. That's when shells were falling constantly, when machine guns were firing non-stop, when crossing no man's land wasn't something you did carefully at night. It was something you did at a dead sprint in broad daylight while men shot at you. I remember June 1918, Belleau Wood. The Marines were pushing through the forest, and I was running messages between battalion command and the forward companies. The Germans had the woods zeroed in with artillery, tree bursts, shells that exploded in the canopy and sent shrapnel raining down. You couldn't dig in, couldn't hide. The metal came from above. I saw a runner named Billy Patterson get hit by tree burst. We'd gone through training together, shared a tent, talked about what we'd do after the war. The shrapnel caught him across the back, ripped him open from shoulder to hip. He was alive when I reached him. Looked up at me with confused eyes like he didn't understand what had happened. Tried to say something. Died before the words came out. I took his dispatch pouch, had to deliver his messages. That was the job. He'd gotten within 50 yards of his destination. I finished his run and then went back for mine. You learned to read the terrain. Shell craters could save your life. Dive into one when you heard incoming. Pray it wasn't already occupied by corpses, or worse, by dying men who'd grab at you, beg you to help them. But you couldn't help them. You had orders to deliver. The messages came first, always. I learned to run in short sprints. 30 yards, hit the dirt. 20 yards, dive behind a crater rim. 40 yards, throw yourself into a depression. Machine gun fire tracks where you were, not where you are. Stay unpredictable. Never run in a straight line. Never establish a pattern. The German snipers were the worst. Patient, professional. They'd watch the trenches, learn the routine, wait for runners. I saw 3 men get shot on the same 100-yard stretch in one day. Same sniper, probably. Waited until you thought you were safe, then dropped you. They started sending us out in pairs after that. One would run while the other watched, tried to spot the sniper. If the first runner got hit, the second would finish the delivery. Grim calculus, but it worked, sort of. We lost fewer messages that way. Still lost plenty of runners. I ran with a kid from Georgia named Lucas Webb. 18 years old, couldn't grow a proper mustache yet. We did maybe 20 runs together. On the 21st, a shell landed between us. I was blown into a crater. Couldn't hear anything for 2 days except ringing. Lucas just wasn't there anymore. Nothing left big enough to bury. I delivered his message, too. Had to feel around in the crater until I found his dispatch pouch, or part of it. They say you get used to it. They're liars. You don't get used to it. You just get numb. There's a difference. By August, I'd stopped learning names. Didn't see the point. The other runners, the men I worked with, they'd be dead in a week or two anyway. Why get attached? Why make it hurt more? I ran messages during the Saint-Mihiel offensive, during Meuse-Argonne, the biggest American battles of the war. Thousands of men going over the top, and me running between them, carrying orders to advance, orders to hold, orders to retreat. Sometimes I carried casualty reports, just numbers on paper, but those numbers were men. 73 dead, 140 wounded, 2 companies effectively destroyed. I learned to move through artillery barrages. There's a rhythm to it, almost like music. You listen to the shells, the scream of incoming, the crump of impact. High explosive sounds different than shrapnel. Gas shells have a hollow pops. You learn where they're landing, track the pattern, find the gaps. Then you run through the gaps and pray the Germans don't adjust their fire. I got hit 3 times. Shrapnel in my left leg, Saint-Mihiel. Piece of shell casing in my shoulder, Meuse-Argonne. Bullet grazed my ribs during a night run. None of them bad enough to evacuate me. They patched me up, gave me a day to rest, sent me back out. The worst runs were the ones where you knew the message didn't matter, where you knew the orders were pointless, that the attack was going to fail, that men were going to die for nothing. But you ran anyway, because that was the job, because someone had to. I carried an order once to a Captain Myers: attack an enemy position at dawn, take a fortified machine gun nest. I knew it was suicide. Everyone knew it was suicide. Myers read the order, looked at me and said, "Well, shit." He led the attack at dawn, lost 40 men in the first 5 minutes, didn't take the machine gun nest. I carried the casualty report back to command. The colonel read it, nodded, and sent me back with orders for another attack the next day. Same result, different dead men. You stop thinking about the big picture. Stop thinking about democracy or freedom or any of the reasons they said we were fighting. You just think about the next 100 yards, the next message, the next run. Stay alive for the next 10 minutes, then the 10 after that. I lost track of how many runs I made. Hundreds, probably. Lost track of how many men I saw die. Lost track of everything except the rhythm. Take the dispatch, check the route, move fast, stay low, deliver the message, go back for the next one. They promoted me to corporal, like it was an honor. Like carrying messages that got men killed was something to be proud of. October 1918, Meuse-Argonne, somewhere near the Kriemhilde-Stellung. The Germans were falling back, but they were making us pay for every yard. I got orders to carry a dispatch to Major Hensley, 16th Infantry Forward Observation Post. The telephone lines were out, always out, and they needed reconnaissance reports on German positions. Urgent, they said. Critical intelligence. It was daylight, middle of the afternoon. 300 yards of open ground under direct observation by German artillery. I could see the observation post, could see the flag marking it. Might as well have had a target painted on my back. I made it halfway before they opened up. Artillery first. They'd been waiting, had the ground ranged perfectly. Shells started dropping in a line, marching toward me. I ran faster than I'd ever run in my life, faster than any race, faster than I thought possible. My lungs burned. My legs screamed. Shrapnel zipped past my head, kicked up dirt at my feet. Then the machine guns opened up, 2 of them converging fire. I could hear the bullets cracking past, supersonic snaps that meant they were close, so close. I zigzagged, dove, rolled, came up running. No time to think, just move. I made it to a shell crater maybe 50 yards from the observation post, slid in head first, hit the bottom hard enough to knock the wind out of me. Lay there gasping, listening to machine gun fire tear up the ground where I'd just been. There was a body in the crater with me. American, looked like he'd been there a few days. Face down in the mud. I pushed him aside to make room, and he rolled over. It was Eddie Morrison, kid from my basic training unit. We'd shipped over together. I'd run messages with him back in July. Good kid. Always smiling, always talking about his girl back in Pennsylvania, about how they were going to get married when he got home. His eyes were open, staring at nothing. I sat there with his body, shells falling around us, machine guns raking the crater rim, and something inside me just broke. Not dramatically, not like in the movies, just a quiet snap, like a bone breaking underwater. I finished the run, delivered the message, got sent back with a reply, made it back alive. But something died in that crater with Eddie Morrison. The war ended November 11th, 1918. We were in the trenches when word came through. Everyone was cheering, crying, singing. We'd made it. We'd survived. I didn't feel anything, nothing at all. They shipped us home in January 1919. Parade in New York, ticker tape and everything. Then back to Cleveland, back to normal life, back to the world that kept on turning like nothing had happened. Ma cried when she saw me, said I looked different. I'd lost 30 pounds, didn't sleep much, jumped at loud noises. She asked me about France, about the war, about what it was like. I couldn't tell her. How do you explain running through machine gun fire 50 times? How do you explain stepping over bodies like they were puddles? How do you explain that you stopped caring who died because caring made it hurt too much? You don't. You just say it was fine, it wasn't so bad, and you change the subject. Tommy was 17 by then, He asked me questions, wanted to hear war stories, wanted to know if I'd killed any Germans, if I'd seen any great battles, if it was exciting. I told him no. Told him war wasn't like he thought. He looked disappointed, still saw the glamour, the glory, still believed the lies. I tried to go back to normal, got a job at a factory, lasted 3 weeks, couldn't handle the whistle at shift change, sounded too much like the whistle before an attack. The steam hissing from pipes sounded like gas shells. I'd flinch every time a metal part dropped on the concrete floor. Tried running again. Thought maybe that would help, getting back to what I loved. Made it half a mile before I had a panic attack. Running wasn't running anymore. Running was survival. Running was delivering messages while men shot at you. My body didn't understand the difference. The nightmares started a few months after I got back. Every night, same dreams. Running through no man's land. Shells falling, machine guns firing. But in the dreams, I can never reach the destination. I just run and run forever, messages in my pouch getting heavier, and I can never deliver them. I wake up with my heart racing, covered in sweat, and for a moment I don't know where I am. I still have the dispatch pouch, the one they issued me. I don't know why I kept it. It's in a box in my closet with my uniform and my medals. Haven't opened that box in years. Don't plan to. People thank me for my service sometimes. If they notice the limp, my left leg never healed quite right from the shrapnel. They say I did my part, say I should be proud. I carried messages that got men killed, carried orders for attacks that failed, ran past dying men because the messages were more important than helping them. What's there to be proud of? The worst part is knowing that every message I delivered, every order I carried, it was all for what? We won the war. Germany surrendered. And 20 years later, here we are. And it looks like we're going to do it all over again. All those runs, all those dead men, all that horror, for nothing. I can't run anymore. Not really. My leg won't let me, and my mind won't let me. But sometimes, late at night, I still feel like I'm running. Still feel the weight of the dispatch pouch. Still hear the machine guns. They gave me a medal, the Distinguished Service Cross, for extraordinary heroism in action. The citation says I made over 200 successful runs under enemy fire, that my actions were vital to military operations, that I displayed courage and dedication. They don't mention the names. Eddie Morrison, Billy Patterson, Lucas Webb, all the other runners who didn't make it, the messages they were carrying when they died, the orders that never got delivered because they took a bullet or a shell or just disappeared into the mud. I survived because I was fast, because I was lucky, because bullets and shells happened to miss me by inches when they could have hit me just as easily. That's all. No heroism, no courage, just dumb luck and the ability to run fast while terrified. The boy who ran track in Cleveland, who had dreams and a future, who thought war would be an adventure, he died in France. Died crawling through no man's land that first night. Died with Billy Patterson. Died with Lucas Webb. Died with Eddie Morrison. What came back was just the runner. The part that knew how to move fast, stay low, deliver the message, and not think about anything else. That's all that's left. I'm 42 years old now. My leg aches when it rains. My hands shake sometimes. I startle easily. I don't sleep well. I don't run anymore. But I still count seconds when I cross streets. Still calculate the fastest route between points. Still scan for cover, for concealment, for sniper positions. 20 years later, and I'm still running those messages, still trapped in those trenches, and they called us runners. They called us heroes. We were just kids carrying paper while the world exploded around us. Kids who had to choose between delivering messages and helping dying men. Kids who learned that messages mattered more than lives. I made it home. My body made it home. But part of me is still out there, still running, still trying to deliver messages that don't matter anymore to men who are already dead. We never really made it back. None of us did.